Hi there, Federico from Jolin here, and today we are talking about TUTTO&SEMPRE. It's a stereo performance mixer, and this is my first time doing a video this way, and I hope that you like it. And please let me know if you have any suggestion for the next series of videos, and if you like the format. And yeah, so let's get into it. And here you can see the module itself is a 20 HP. Wait, there's a cable here. What? It's a 20 HP EURORACK module with 4 stereo inputs, and each one of the inputs has a stereo patchbay send and a stereo return, stereo VCA here indicated with the V, an attenuator that control both the signal together, a clickless mute switch. You can see here, you can, with the blue LED, you can actually see which one of the channels is active. Now, none of them. Here, just the first one. Individual post attenuation output, and this is the kind of the mixing frame of the module. So the tutto part, so everything. Then we have the sempre part, the always. So it means that all the signals that you can route here and mix here are gonna be fed to this master output knob that has 3 outputs. Now, a stereo, so a combined L and R stereo output with 3.5 TRS jack that now is going directly to our recorder, and two balanced mono output L and R, and these are useful. You can use all 3 of these output together. For example, if you are recording a mix and then at the same time you want to hear what you are recording, you can just send them to your active speaker or PA monitors if you are playing live. And all these 3 together are controlled with the master knob. An auxiliary, an angry talk, an auxiliary, a master auxiliary stereo input that this is going directly to the master knob, and you can of course attenuate them if you want. And then another section, these are 2 headphone drivers. Each one of them has a stereo auxiliary input, and you can use them all 3 together at the same time, or these 2 can be routed to their respective phono output for a pre-listen. With the switch, you can send them back to the main mix without having to unpatch them, and we are gonna I'm gonna show you that to you later in the video. And so, as I said, 2 independent headphone drivers. An example, an use for this kind of configuration can be you are playing with a guitarist or a drummer or another modular mad like you, and you can just patch one of the 2 outputs, individual output, directly to one of these auxiliary inputs, and clicking the switch, you're gonna send just that auxiliary input to that individual headphones. So for a pre-listen of that mix, for example, maybe a drummer just want to hear the kick to stay on time, and you can just send the kick to him, or another source from your mixer. So now let's get into it. Let's hear a little bit how this sounds, or how I like to work with it. Let me check. There's a lot going on here. So we can start with this stereo signal coming from a heavily modulated monsoon. That is, the input source is a tabor going through goblet. So as you see, I'm plugging the L input into the first row and the R input into the second row of the column that is E input. So let's unmute the channel. Yeah, so I want to show you the decay, the slow decay of the clickless mute. So that is soft, but still it has this smooth tail at the end. Okay, now with the stereo VCA, so I'm using here triangle low frequency oscillator from GitGad. Let's increase its rate a little bit. Okay. Now another triangle wave on the second one. Yep. Let's add another source. Let's play with it a little bit. Here we have Bet1. It's fed into a stereo reverb. So since Bet1 has attenuation on its output, I can just use it with the auxiliary input. So okay, now I'd like to add another source. Here we have, I think it's a plate, heavily modulated robotic voice. Let's go through a Chico for some stereo movement. So let's add to the second channel. Okay, now for example, maybe you want to add an external effect to it. So let's use this stereo delay. Inputs. So the inputs to the delay going from the send of the patchbay, and the output of the delay go into the return of the patchbay. Let's clock this voice to another source. I'm gonna use this cows. See the master knob control the volume of that I'm sending to the recorder. At the same time, the volume that I'm sending to my speakers, to my PA. What happens if I fed, let's mute all the signals. What happens if I fed this auxiliary input to one of the other two? The one that is routed to the headphones, for example. Now I cannot hear it to them in the main mix, because I'm gonna hear it only to the headphones output. So let's try. So here now I'm hearing only this auxiliary input, and you can see if we activate the other channel, they are not fed into these headphones. But what happens if I click the switch? I'm gonna hear everything, and this auxiliary input becomes a master auxiliary input, so it's fed also to the main mix. I don't have to actually unpatch it from here and send it to another aux. This is done thanks just to really a complex switch that deals mechanically with this routing. And of course, TUTTO&SEMPRE is full analog, and it uses high quality audio chips and drivers, especially designed to work with external recorders or audio sources or audio interface. So another use for, let's unmute Bet1. Another use for The individual outputs could be the one of sending them to your audio interface directly, while having at the same time the sempre section, so the output section available for your recorder, for external source and other interfaces. Also the possibility of controlling two headphone drivers at the same time means that you can play with a friend or a musician or another human, just for and decide what everyone is going to listen depending on the needs of that particular gig or playing. So the next video is going to be about singly, and I think it's going to appear somewhere in the video section here. And singly connects directly to TUTTO&SEMPRE thanks to an header on the back of the module, and as you can see here, it's placed really far away from the module because it doesn't have to be really close together, since there is a ribbon on the back, and you can actually connect two singly together to have in total 4 stereo signal and 14 mono signal going into your TUTTO&SEMPRE. But we're gonna talk, oh my god, this camera has a focus problem, maybe it should be here, and it fell during a concert 1 year ago, and now it's, oh god, sorry for that, and now it's a little bit misbehaving with the focus, but who cares. We're gonna talk about single in the next video, and I think that this wraps up a little bit TUTTO&SEMPRE. I hope that you enjoy this kind of videos, more in deep about the design process also, and my ideas on why I designed this module, and hope you like it. And back on the reason why I designed this module, it was because sometimes I play with a friend of mine, Pedro, that plays with the saxophone, and it's really useful to have 2 independent headphone drivers, so that everyone can listen to specific tracks on the record while recording and sending the output to the audio engineer during a live session. But since we travel usually with a small car or maybe public transport, so we don't have a lot of space, having a mixer this small that still behaves like a really big one with all this function was useful for that reason, and that's why I made it. But we're gonna talk about also the other modules and the reason behind their creation and why they're here and why we are all here. So bye, and see you on the next video. I hope that I recorded everything, because there are a lot of cameras and recorders, and I hope that everything is fine. Okay, 15 minutes, it's not too long. Bye bye.
Preferivo il ciao, però vai, va bene.
Ok, ciao allora.